What is a subtle sign that someone is really intelligent? ITT. People who don't understand the difference between intelligence and social skills. There is such a thing as social intelligence, as opposed to learned social skills, but in context, OP doesn't seem to be asking about that, and many of the answers seem focused on it entirely. I think the short version is that we perceive people with both to be highly intelligent, because those people have both. 1. High logical intelligence, and 2. The ability to communicate in a way that makes their logical intelligence apparent to other people. Talking to people as if they are intelligent at their level, and without being condescending, or even letting on that it's lower than their level. I used to work with a doctor, Tom Howard, and the day I realized he was a genius was the time he guessed every single condition a patient of mine had, based on minute pieces of information about him. They effortlessly communicate complex concepts in a simple way. My father-in-law is very smart, went to MIT and Caltech, founded and sold several businesses, published books that are still in circulation, holds several patents and now is working in the immunotherapy space. Anyway, I'm just a typical Midwestern State College grad, and the things I've learned about cancer and the various treatments from him are amazing. These are technical medical biological concepts that I could learn if I read 100 books, but he can somehow explain them in such a simple and relatable terms I feel like I really understand. It's a gift of genius. They know when their knowledge ends, and say something to the extent of I don't know and anything else I say on this topic is ignorant speculation. Favorite line I got from a professor that made me genuinely realize I can have my own thought was, "That's a great question that I don't know, but we need to talk about." Conveyed immediate interest, but kept a same professional knowledge base which allowed me to explore my ideas with her. It really showed me what discourse is all about. Edit. Thank you for Silver. I really didn't anticipate this to have such an impact. I noticed a lot of people saying they had similar experiences with teachers. I encourage you all to reach out and share how grateful you are for those experiences. I also encourage you all to share your thoughts, whether you find them "original" or not. This can be anonymously or not, but you truly won't learn until you and others actively question your belief system consistently. Find friends that support you and encourage these conversations. Explaining something complex in simple terms. Knowledge is so vast that they can talk about in the easiest way for someone else to understand. I once was hired by a college as a tutor for other students who were having trouble with courses they found difficult, but I had absorbed pretty easily, electronic stuff mostly. The department head who hired me said something along the lines of "Pay isn't much, you won't make enough to buy more than a pizza or two a week. But you'll learn stuff about what you teach you never realized you needed to know. You never really grasp a topic until you can explain it clearly to someone else." He was right. They apply knowledge from one realm into a new and relevant situation. For instance, one person described a situation, might have been on Reddit, where they were a new assistant in an academic research lab and fixed a snag that stumped all the senior researchers including the professor. The team was trying to video record their project using a strobe light and their footage wasn't working as planned. When no one else made progress at diagnosing or solving the problem, the most junior individual spoke up and suggested that the strobe could be out of phase. They remembered that video typically records at a rate of 24 frames a second. Thanks for the correction, and explained that along with suggesting a change to the strobe's flash rate, so it would coincide with the recording. This worked, and it really raised up that individual's reputation within the group. Inwardly they were almost embarrassed about the source of this knowledge. They had a gaming hobby back in high school and had taken some video footage of that and discovered the standard frame rate while playing around in editing software. But they remembered that detail years later and realized it made a difference in a completely different context. That is intelligence. People who use analogies to explain concepts to others. It's a form of code switching, and integrating concepts on the fly is a clear indicator someone is both socially and conceptually intelligent. Edit. As many have pointed out, not all analogies are helpful or make sense to others. So a useful analogy that creates an aha moment for someone is a wonderful thing. An analogy is an association, a mental process of connecting an idea or thing to a relatable image for someone who can then see and digest the initial representation. Not using analogies doesn't mean someone can't be intelligent. And social intelligence doesn't mean social ease and charisma, it means an awareness that one's own understanding and experience often has to be translated in ways that others can relate to. Dynamism and creativity. I really don't agree with that old notion of an intelligent person as someone with social difficulties who's good at logical thinking. This is just one single possibility among dozens of others. I know people who would be considered of average or above average intelligence who are in fact social geniuses and beloved and remembered by everyone they meet. These people navigate the world much like a genius would, being offered jobs wherever they go because people like them so much. So yeah, I would agree there are multiple kinds of intelligence. The awkward, reclusive mathematician or physicist is only one kind. You can honestly just tell by their vibes, the way they compose themselves, talk, write, think, explain, etc. What I find the most interesting is that intelligent people, in my experience, are more likely to be less cold/fact driven and more theoretical and creative. For example, if an intelligent person were to read a certain stat, fact, idea, etc., they are likely to have very interesting theoretical extrapolations. My friend qualified for the Mensa membership, and whenever we talk, his Mensa always strays towards very interesting outlooks. He has certain ideas that I would never have even thought about. It's actually very fun to talk to intelligent people. The way they are able to absorb information like a sponge and apply that information is very eye-opening. This is more of a hit or miss one, but in casual conversation they are good at pun/wordplay. Making good puns, especially spontaneously, requires a high level of understanding in whatever language is being spoken. If they tell you a pre-constructed joke that has a punchline, that is a pun. A punchline if you will, you can't really tell because they could have had a lot of time to come up with it, like me for instance, or they could have memorized it from somewhere, but spontaneous puns generally mean they are processing your conversation multiple interpretations at once. In an intelligent way. As an English teacher, I'm probably biased, so take my opinion for what it is. That said, I can often identify a brilliant student by the way he uses written language. It's hard to explain. It's not just vocabulary, and it's not the concepts communicated in the writing. It's the fullness and maturity of the writer's voice, which encompasses the aforementioned and then some. The piece of writing often sounds like it could not possibly have been authored by the student. At the grocery store, usually between customers, a till person will poke at the bags or wipe the belt or whatever to look busy. There's a young girl at our local store who busies herself as usual, except sometimes she will look around at customers. Not open-mouthed 1,000-yard stare, but actually looking at customers. She was watching them, studying them. I spent almost 20 years in security, and the way she studied customers was exactly the way I did it. I thought it was very interesting. I shared it with my wife, who's a teacher, who told me she's actually one of the smartest students in the school. I knew it. My paternal grandma is really intelligent, I think. She went to secretarial school in the 1950s, but never really worked, so I wouldn't call her highly educated or anything. But I think she could have gone far in higher education if she'd attempted it. I'll explain something to her and ask her if I'm making sense. She's 90 years old. I wouldn't be at all surprised if I said something that went over her head from time to time. But she doesn't miss a step. Whenever I describe a situation or concept to her and ask her if I'm making sense, she will repeat the thing I said back to me, using different wording and her own examples to prove she absolutely understood. I don't know many other people who do that. She also is happy to change her stance on anything when presented with new information. And a lot of time she'll bring it up again months later and thank you for showing her a new perspective. She isn't just swayed by me because I'm her granddaughter. She's the same way with everyone else I've ever seen her interact with. They know that they don't know shit. A person who thinks they are intelligent will tell everyone how intelligent they are. They'll make things up just to sound smart. Mainly they'll act like they know everything about everything. That's the dead giveaway when they've gotta contradict everything you say, cause it makes them feel smart. Someone who's actually smart knows that the world is full of unknowns. They know there is so much to the world that's left unexplored and unanswered. When a question arises, they seek a truthful answer. And when they realize there is no answer, it'll be okay. To someone who wants to seem intelligent, it'll eat them alive. You will never hear someone faking intelligence say the words "I don't know," and I'm okay with that. Like and subscribe for more edit videos.